In the first episode of the Hyrule Study, we talked about the linear and open-world gameplay of previous Zelda games, with the consensus being that future Zelda games should be open-world, but also adopt some of the classic Zelda formula. In this video, we're going to go more in depth on this, and some other improvements we'd love to see in the Breath of the Wild sequel. Thanks again to my friend Hyrule Gamer for helping me out on this video. His link will be in the description as always if you want to see some amazing Zelda lore videos.
Now, the enemies in Breath of the Wild were fairly good. There was an okay variety, but going into the next game, I would love to see the Zelda team expand upon the amount of enemy types. There are so many enemies from past games that got left out of Breath of the Wild that I would love to see back. Just a few off the top of my head would be the Darknuts, the Gyptos, the Skulltulas, the Dead Hand, and many more. But the main thing about the few I just mentioned is that they would be a perfect fit for the theme of the upcoming game. Dark and mysterious, full of potential scares and horrifying scenes. The point is, Breath of the Wild lacked a decent variety of enemies. Changing their colour by difficulty didn't cut it for me. They are still the same enemy. We need at least 5 to 6 new enemies for this game, and some more overworld bosses would be cool too.
The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild featured over 100 different weapons for players to use, but one issue that plagued most people's playthrough was the inability to repair or upgrade weapons at all. It was awesome having such a wide variety of weapons, but not being able to at least repair the weapons you liked put a damper on the entertainment of fighting within the game world. In the future, it'd be awesome to see something similar to the Skyward Sword repair and upgrade system implemented, so players who opt to use the same 3 weapons can maintain them and upgrade their abilities. In Skyward Sword, the upgrades were straightforward, with each upgrade redesigning the item itself. While Nintendo does not need to redesign every weapon for 2 or 3 times, a simple stat buff would help make the game that much more enjoyable.
Items in the Legend of Zelda series have always played a huge role in the game, and this is no different for Breath of the Wild, but the developers took a very different approach this time around. Specifically with the key items, or lack of key items for that matter. Past games utilised key items such as the hookshot, the iron boots, the hammer, and many more, but Breath of the Wild made the majority of items very generic. Items in Breath are now found out and about in the wild, from weak wooden bats to long, sleek blades of steel, and this goes for the shields and bows as well. The only real key items we get are the abilities given to us via the Sheikah Slate. Some bombs, magnetic abilities, freezing abilities, stopping time, and a camera. These were all pretty lackluster in the grand scheme of things and felt very generic. Whereas with past items like the hookshot for example, you would use that for very epic tasks. In Ocarina of Time, you'd use it to pull yourself across a large drop or to activate something from a distance. I believe it's more the fact that Breath of the Wild is so open that makes the key items in the game very basic. They are not required to beat the game. Yeah, you do need to acquire them to leave the Great Plateau, but after that, you technically don't need them at all. In the next Zelda game, I want them to bring back some items that have proper meaning and are actually required to beat the game.
Generally speaking, the world Breath of the Wild takes place in is pretty empty. Strip away the shrines and the 4 beasts, and basically there's only a handful of towns to explore, with very few minigames around the world, or really reason to travel by foot or horse once you've activated all the towers. The sequel of Breath of the Wild is set in the future after the events of the first game, and it'd be great to see some more development among towns and villages in the game world, even spawning in some new towns or minigames. Ultimately, I'd love to see the inclusion of a rebuilt Hyrule Castletown. Some original fan art for Breath of the Wild showed the town before its destruction, and while it would not make sense for it to be completely rebuilt in the second game, it'd be nice to see even an attempt at rebuilding the town or another town close by with the same intention. In conclusion, Breath of the Wild was an amazing first stepping stone, and I can only hope that the sequel will improve and fix some of the biggest issues that the first game had. What do you want to see in the new game? Leave a comment down below, and if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Also be sure to check out my friend Hyrule Gamer's channel, and thanks to him for helping me out on this video and series as a whole. The final episode of Hyrule Study will be coming in the last week of September, and we really hope you enjoy it.